So Sebastian Epple, I just mentioned him. He's the IBM Blockchain Leader in the German-speaking region, and he has 20 years of experience at IBM in sales and in services. And a year and a half ago, the blockchain unit for the German-speaking market was founded, and he was right there from its inception, and still is. And he's taking care of the projects from conception all the way to delivery. Now today he's going to explain to us, through use cases, his experience and lessons learned out of building blockchain projects. So I'm excited, I hope you are too. Please help me welcome to the stage Sebastian Epple. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, thank you. Hello, thanks for being here on the stage, and thanks for you to spend your time with us today on blockchain. I really want to talk not so much about the technology, I really want to talk a little bit about what else is needed for a successful blockchain project. So blockchain, we all know, has risen with the cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, but over the last couple of years, blockchain has moved into the business environment, and we have seen blockchain moving into use cases and processes outside of cryptocurrencies and tokens. And in those blockchain for business areas, we have seen a couple of different perspectives which get more and more important, which are not the same maybe than in a cryptocurrency. That is accountability, privacy, scalability, and security. So those are, from a technical point, key items we talk with our enterprise clients when we talk about blockchain. They prefer a secured network, a permission-based more network, the security of their data from a technology point of view, but how to achieve that and how to convince them that your network, that your solution is the right one, that's the topic I really would like to talk about today. So that's about the lessons learned we have done. So we have done in the last couple of years globally something like more than 500 projects, POCs, MVPs, production projects, you name it, so quite a number. Currently we have 35 IBM-enabled active business networks. We have an R&D department who is working and donating code to the Hyperledger code, Hyperledger Fabric. We have the platform available in 6 of our data centers, and we have a blockchain garage to help to start up, to boost new blockchain cases. And out of all of those projects, we have summarized our learnings and our lessons learned. There is a booklet which is called the Founder's Handbook. You can find it on the ibm.com/platform/blockchain platform, and you can download. But I would like to talk really a little bit about those learnings out of those projects. So what we realize in the discussions we have way too often, we talk with clients about, I've heard about blockchain, it seems to be a cool technology, what can I do with blockchain? And of course, everybody has to understand what blockchain can do, what are the benefits of blockchain, what's the technical background of blockchain, how does it work? But at the end, we have to start with a real business problem. So we want to start with identifying the business problem we want to solve, which brings you the benefit you want to achieve with blockchain. And that is also, we have to think in different terms. Traditionally, we think about business problems in our own organization, in our own environment, in our own silo. But with blockchain, the value of the application rises with the participants of the blockchain. So having an own internal blockchain might not be that big value. Have a blockchain in your supply chain, in your network, is already quite good. Having a blockchain, which is an industry platform where it brings your competition to the platform, which connects all of your suppliers and the suppliers of your competition, your clients and the clients of your competition, then you really start to gain value. And if you now think about cross-industry solutions, where you, for example, can do the financing, the supply chain, the delivery, all with one blockchain application, then we really talk about the future of blockchain, where we will see the real biggest value of those blockchain applications. But again, the question is not blockchain fit. That's the first question. So we have identified the business problem, and now let's see if blockchain is the right technology, because not all problems can be solved with blockchain, even if some seems to tell us those kind of stories. At the end, it's down to 3 key questions you have to ask if blockchain is the right technology. First one, again, is ecosystem. Is it an ecosystem you are working with? Do you work with partners? Then blockchain might be the right technology. Secondly, it's about trust in data. Do you exchange data, and do you have an issue with trust in those data and with the current systems? For example, if there is a central organization, a central authority who is holding that data you trust to, there might not be the need for a blockchain application. And the third topic is, it is about assets and transactions. If it's a static database, blockchain is not your choice. So if it's those 3 elements, then blockchain might be the right fit. There are always also use cases where only one of those scenarios fit to, and still blockchain makes a perfect sense because of the immutability of the blockchain, because of the provenance, and you get an audit trail and all of that. So those are additional benefits, but at the end, the majority of the use cases, it's down to those 3 questions. And if you can answer them with yes, blockchain might really be the right technology for you. The number 1 factor where we see projects succeed or fail is generating the business network and the ecosystem. Out of the majority of projects we have done and we have seen in the markets, 70 to 80% have not overcome from a POC MVP stage into a production or close production phase. And they have not failed because of technology reasons. There are open questions with blockchain technology, but they don't stop us from those solutions. What the number 1 reason is which stops us from succeeding is building the network and the ecosystem. Because that is really the point again. How can you convince your partners to join the network? How can you bring them on board? There are different models. You can have a kind of a market maker model. So you are the number 1 and you just say, if you want to make business with me, that's the application to use. That's one model. But that's a very stringent model which only works if you really have the high buying power, the high market power, and that only works with your direct clients, not with 2nd tier, 3rd tier, or 4th tier. You also might want to integrate. The other model is more of a consortium-based model. So that is really the next level of model where I would like to talk about. At the end, blockchain is and must be a team sport. What do I mean with that? If the benefit is all with one company, it's very hard to convince the others to join your network. So I want something from somebody. I want some data from them. I want some information from them. I want them to sign something. I want them to authoritate something from them. That's what I maybe want. But what can I give them in return so that they get also a benefit? If all of the benefits are with me, it's very, very unlikely they are motivated to join. And then you have the curve at the beginning, a very motivated project, good POC, good MVP. You're starting very good, and then you try to bring on the clients and your member and your networks, and you just cannot convince them. So therefore, key topic is how can you make them join your network? Topics are cost reduction. Can you offer them a cost reduction? How they make maybe their process more effective, increase the operational effectiveness? Can they enhance the customer experience? Do they reach new customers? Can they give them a new customer experience? Do they maybe have a new revenue opportunity? Because it's maybe a marketplace. They maybe reach new customers through this industry platform. Avoiding potential costs through operational risk. That's a very, very important topic. Again, blockchain is about trust, it's about data, it's often about risk reduction. So if I have more data, I can reduce maybe my operational risk. And then the last topic, and I have to say that's the weakest one, that's the industry leadership. How am I received at the market? Of course, I can use such a project also for marketing purposes, for my reputation in the market. How can I now convince people to join my network? What's the team sport behind that? That's the second point. That's back to the business model. It's not so much about the technology. Of course, they want to know some points about the technology, but the main topic is about the business model. How do I set up my operation? Is it a revenue-generating project? Do I want to gain money with that? Or is it just reducing cost in my existing processes? What's the membership model? Do I have to pay? Is it a transaction-based model? Is it a membership fee-based model? What are the charging methodologies? Think also about what's the value every member has. The value somebody has from a blockchain network is different from each member. Some are more like the net data provider. They provide more data to the blockchain than they consume. They most likely won't pay a high price for joining your network because those are the ones you want something from them. On the other side, we have somebody who is a net data consumer. They are looking for these new sources of data for their business model for reducing risk. They might be the ones who are financing your business and your costs. So it's very, very important to look at the business model and how you design your business model. So you have to have also questions to those answers to convince your business network to join your blockchain application. The third topic is then, or the second topic to convince your network is about governance. And governance, the whole is greater than the sum. That is from the one side in regards to the benefits. You get more benefits through this ecosystem place. One of your parties maybe brings in a custom authority because you have to, let's talk about logistics, supply chain. You need the custom authorities of the countries to do some activity. One of the partners maybe has a good relationship to one of the customs, he brings that in. The other one is bringing a customs from a different country, but now those two customs are available to the full network. So again, the value of the single ones is bigger than the one. And again, it helps if everybody brings in some value and some people and some additional members to the network to make that. The other thing about the governance you have to think about in two dimensions. The one dimension is the governance of the technology you use. If you think about different blockchain technologies, there are all sorts of blockchain technologies, from Hyperledger, Hyperledger Fabric, over Ethereum, over other technologies. Think also about the governance of those technologies. How is this set up? Is it something where you can talk to them? Do you have a voice in there? Can you influence those? Or is it something which is out of your control? Because this is a fundament of your new technology. So you want to know how is it structured. The other level of governance is then the governance of your own project. And that's the second topic I would like to talk about. What we have realized when we talk about blockchain governance, it's 5 key considerations you have to think about when you set up your governance. The first consideration is about data. And that is really one of the most important ones, I would say. How do you handle data? Who has access to data? Who is providing data? What's with data privacy, data security? The other topic is also what happens with data if somebody leaves the network. Does the other one still have access to that data or get that data revoked, or at least the access gets revoked? So the question is really about what's happening to that data, because that's the key considerations of most of the business network members you will talk to. What's happening with my data when I join the network? Second topic you would like to think about is marketplace. What's, again, the model you go into the market? Is it revenue-based? What happens with the revenue? How is it shared? Do I can influence if it's put into additional development of the platform, or is it put to the stakeholders which are part of the network? So what's happening with that? The other topic which is very, very important is what additional possibilities you allow to make money in those marketplaces. Take the blockchain initial network. Is it allowed for the members to add additional applications and services on top of that network from their own reasons? What happens with those? If this is a paid service, is this something which gets back to the whole group, or is it strictly to one? Is a part of that being transferred? Is there some kind of fee or royalty? So those kind of questions. Again, you now have with the blockchain network maybe a whole new area where you can give the services as one partner to new clients. You add an additional service which is on top of what the blockchain was originally built. What happens with the income you make out of those kind of applications? Participation, the next topic. How do you decide in such a permission-based blockchain who is allowed to join the network? Is it allowed for anybody to join? Do you need somebody to bring somebody in? Is it a democratic process and you just vote for it? Does somebody has a veto right to say, I don't want this guy to participate in that network? So those kind of questions, again, are fundamentally important for those blockchain networks to be successful or not successful. But also, not only think about how the network grows. At some point of time, maybe somebody will leave the project, or you want to remove somebody out of your network because maybe he's not doing, the business you are preferring, maybe he's no longer fitting in your blockchain network, maybe he's working with somebody else. What's the process of revoking somebody out of your network? Is there a process? Is there a rule? Who decides this? Those are very, very important questions really to talk about when you talk about a blockchain project. Fourth topic is about technology. We talked already a little bit about technology, and if you heard something about technology, what's the technology you want to use? What is the consensus you want to use? What are the rules of the consensus you want to use? You have to have a governancing body who is constantly looking at your blockchain organization or your blockchain project and deciding how to improve the blockchain technology. The blockchain technology is a quite young technology. Even if we are close to the 10th anniversary of blockchain, it's still very young. There's a very, very big movement in the market, in the technology. So during your blockchain project, you will encounter new updates, new availabilities, new consensus mechanisms, and other things which will come to life. What's the governancing body in your blockchain network who is helping you to do that? Who's deciding on that? What's the decision rights again? And at the end, the transaction, that's something which is mainly to be done in the beginning, in the setup. What are the assets to be dealt? What are the transactions to be dealt? What is the way? What is actually the things you want to move around with your blockchain network? Those things, on the one side, sound very simple. It's common understanding to think about those kind of things. The difference we have with blockchain is, in the idea of blockchain, we are talking about equals in a network. And therefore, there is no one company, no one party who is saying, this is how we do it, you are allowed to join or you are not allowed to join. Except you are going for a market maker model where you are building the blockchain. Then you have to pay most likely for all of the efforts for the blockchain, and then you can decide for it. But as soon as you open your blockchain to a more consortium-like open blockchain, to a more network-based blockchain, you will have to come around those questions. The clients definitely will ask, what's happening with my data? What's happening with the marketplace? What's happening with my competition? Can they join the network, or can I prevent them from joining those networks? So have a question for that, have an answer to those questions. So how do we move along now, supporting you and supporting our clients to answer those questions? First of all, quite simple, we start with a business problem. We identify, is blockchain the right technology? I already talked about that, the 3 questions to answer, see if blockchain is the right technology. But then there is another topic. In traditional IT, we normally talk about build or buy. That's the decision to make. Do I build something for my own, or do I buy an existing application? With blockchain, it's a little bit different. It's more about join or develop. So do I join an existing network? Is there already a blockchain out there which is working on the use case I'm looking for? Or is there nothing there which is working on my use case? Or maybe they have a totally different approach. Because at the end, there won't be 100 blockchain networks for the same sort of problem. There will be a kind of a race now, which is who is the first one in the market and who is building the biggest ecosystem in the market. Because at some point of time, the value of the blockchain via the ecosystem which is connected to the blockchain will be so big that you have to join that network because there are the partners you want to make business with. Because let's take the example of a custom authority. If they are already connected to 1 or 2 blockchain networks in the future, they won't do the effort for the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the next blockchain network. So there will be also a game now, a race now about who's surfing which market. If there is at the moment no blockchain network you directly want to join, maybe you want to wait because there are maybe 2 or 3 blockchain networks which are currently under development. It's not clear which is the right one to develop. Don't start the 4th or 5th one. Really, have a little patience, look how the development is going, observe them, have talks with them, and then make your decision to a later time. If 1 or 2 doesn't work, then it's the right time to develop your own network and to start your own blockchain project. If you now have identified the business problem you want to solve, way too often we start with a POC and MVP right from the beginning. And again, have first the considerations about your business model design. What do you want to achieve? Again, the topics we talked about. What are the network members? If you have a better understanding about the business model and the network, then start thinking about the MVP. And the MVP starts with every other project. What is the as-is process? What's the to-be process? What do we want to achieve? What are the sprints we want to do? Those are the common typical questions, but don't just go directly for the MVP. We have seen way too many projects where we started with an MVP project. We had a very, very good project. The atmosphere was good. The stakeholders were very happy. And after 8 weeks or 10 weeks, and we had a very good project, we then said to the client or discussed with the client, okay, now bring in the next clients. Let's bring this to the next phase. Start expanding your network. And then we suddenly realized that the key questions haven't been thought about. There is no return on investment model. There is no incentive model for the network members to join it because the advantage is maybe always one. And then it just doesn't work to bring in the other partners. And I'm repeating myself, but at the end, blockchain is an ecosystem play. The value of your application is about the value of your ecosystem you can connect to your platform. So what's the kind of summary we have? First of all, it's an ecosystem play. The whole is greater than the sum. And that is something which is new to many, many clients. We are not used to have an ecosystem where we have our own competition on the same platform, where we share processes, where we share data, where we share information, clients, and others. 80% of the challenges are non-technical. From the projects we have done, maybe 1, 2, 3 have stopped because of technical issues. All of the others have non-technical issues why they haven't considered. Consortia, it's a new way to collaborate and to work. Clients, customers are not used to that kind of environment. Being equals in a network, that's something new. Some industries are more common and used to that, but many industries really have to learn how to work in those environments. Then something which many, especially startups, already do very big. Dream big and act incrementally. So have a big vision, have a big idea. Promote your big idea, but act step by step. Don't try to solve all right at the beginning. Reduce your process to the minimal part. Start with few network members you trust in, and then expand as soon as you have made your first success. Motivation drives momentum. Blockchain is a long-term journey. Blockchain is nothing which you start today and are finished by the end of the week, the month, or the quarter. Blockchain is a long-term journey. The benefits could be really, really great, but you have to have the momentum and the motivation to have the passion and the continuous, to move with you and to keep on track. Otherwise, you will not reach the guide. From an IBM, we have a guided approach, so we can help you. That's the marketing pitch. So we can help you. We have built all of that questions into a process manual, into some consulting framework, how we can help you based out of the project, what is a good business model, what works better, what works maybe not so good. So if you have any question, if you have a good idea, if you have already maybe a starting network, you want to talk with us, I'm happy to do so. I will be somewhere around here. and we have a big booth in Hall 35 and 34, where we have many, many live projects, and you are happily invited to come over and look what projects we already realized with our clients, which are going to production and which are already some of them in production.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sebastian. Maybe we have an opportunity now to ask 1 or 2 questions before we move on, and then you can still, right over here, thank you. You can still go deeper at the booth next to the stage later on.
Sorry, just a quick one. I'm not having the background. What is MVP? I couldn't connect the message.
Oh, sorry, thanks for the question. We call that minimal viable product. That's back to the question, have a big vision, but start incrementally. So what we do is, as part of the process, we think about what's the full process, what's the end-to-end scenario we want to start with, and what is the vision we have. But that vision normally is way too big to just start with. So what we do is, we reduce the total process to the key component, where we say, this is the fundamental part to start with. The other term you might hear is MVE, minimal viable environment. So it's also about the number of network members. You might need 20 to sort of have the full use case done. Don't start with 20. It's already hard enough with 3 or 4. So pick the ones which you really need. So try to reduce the effort you have in front of you to, from the scope and also from the number of participants.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. One more here.
Thanks for your presentation. I have one question. When do you think the decentral character of the blockchain makes sense regarding the network? When is just the cloud sufficient enough?
Sorry, I didn't get the
yeah,
decentral.
When is the decentral character of the blockchain needed in the network? When you think about blockchain, okay, it's decentralized, but when is it needed? And when can you just stick to your current cloud applications?
I think the key questions again it's about the blockchain fit, and that is really first of all, it's an ecosystem play or not. If you don't have an ecosystem, you don't need decentralized services. And then the other topic is really about the trust in data. If you don't have a trust issue with your data, it's not about blockchain. Blockchain offers you this trust in data because of the decentralized ledger, but also of the provenance and immutability of the blocks. So the blocks which are written, they cannot be altered, they cannot be changed, they cannot be deleted. All of this, the blockchain technology gives to us, and that gives trust in data. And if you talk about trust in an ecosystem, of course, when I talk to clients, they say, I trust my suppliers, I trust my clients. Agree with that, but do you trust the data points to the extent that you would automatically, for example, pay a bill without checking it with your internal systems? Nobody's doing that. And that's the value blockchain brings to us. We have this point of trust, this point of data in the blockchain. Because of consensus, it is agreed that data has been delivered, it was there, the data cannot be changed, it cannot be altered later on, so I can immediately, for example, start my paying based on this point of data.
Thank you. Thanks for the questions. So for now, I want to thank you so much for coming up, and you'll be around later, right?
Yes.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.